Welcome back to LivAnimated.com. Let's learn something new. Tonight we are going to be answering a question that I received through LinkedIn. And the question is from Jim Nicholas. How best do I get started networking and getting recognition for jobs I want and navigating the industry? This is a really good question. To start, I would say start creating. It doesn't matter where you are right now and what you're doing. Start creating. That is going to be the best way for you to get eyes on what it is you can bring to anyone. Programs, software, technology as a whole has changed so much in 10, even 20 years within the industry of the games, film, and multimedia as a whole. A lot of things are free. You can do anything you want right now. So start creating. That's literally what I would say to that question as far as getting started. Pick something that you have some passion about. Download whatever programs you need. Execute on a plan and start creating and share it. You need to share your work. This isn't about creating something and then sitting on it to be like, look what I did. Pat on my back, No, you need to share this. You need to put this online. You need to share it with friends and family. Get it out there. You want as many eyes as possible on this. When it comes to networking, though, I exclusively use LinkedIn. I don't really do much for social gatherings with having a family and making the time for those things. It'd be nice to do that, but right now it's mostly on LinkedIn. So what I do on LinkedIn is I connect with people who have like minds. I connect with people who I have worked with, that I've enjoyed working with, people who are colleagues, friends, and so on. I try to connect with everybody that has had an impact on me throughout my career, pretty much. So I use LinkedIn exclusively for that. Some of the things I want to share about LinkedIn, though, is when is the best time to connect with people? Some of the best times to connect with people would be after working on a project together. You may not have left the company, but you may have worked side by side with someone at the studio, and you've made an impression on them. They've made an impression on you. By all means, this is the most appropriate time to ask for a connection through LinkedIn. A lot of people will just spam and just blanket a whole company without ever working with a person. I like to, through work and then casually, with working with a person. So if I worked with a person on something, boom, I'm like, yeah, I want to connect with this person. If I've casually met the person, like I haven't worked with them on a project yet, but I've met them at the studio, we've talked, maybe we shared lunch together, and we had a pretty good conversation, I would connect with them on LinkedIn. You want to do it while it's fresh. You want to do it while you're still a thought in their mind. You want to make sure that they are aware of you, and so it's not an afterthought. So that's the best time to connect with people on LinkedIn. Make sure there's something important that can be stemmed from it, because right when you connect with that person, you can immediately send them a message and be like, and then talk about what it is you just talked about, or plant that seed in them of like, oh yeah, he remembered that, what I said or what she said or what have you. Those are some of the best times to connect with people. Let there be some type of event that has occurred between the two of you, and then by all means connect. A lot of times people will connect with you who don't even know you. They may have seen your profile. They may have seen your work. They may want to just give a compliment to you. Connect with those people as well. You never know what opportunity can come your way. You never know what could inspire you for future work. So I rarely do not connect with people, but I try to have some type of engagement with that person. With everybody I connect with, whether it's like starting off a conversation or what have you, I rarely just let it go, and just connect people and never say anything to them. It's kind of crazy, but should you share your contact list on LinkedIn? I do not share my contact list on LinkedIn. There's a lot of people who will abuse and misuse your information that's out there, and so I think it's important to, depending on how you feel about it, it's important to keep that shared or not shared. A lot of people, even with now, you'll have people, random people, trying to connect with you that you may not want to connect with, whether it's due to it just feels like it's spammy and that they're just looking to further themselves in some way that's more negative than positive. You don't want to connect those people, because if you connect with those people and you're not paying attention to what you're doing and your full contact list is there, once they connect with you, they can see everything. That could be bad, you know. It depends with what that person's intent is. And this can be people that you also have on your list that you've connected with, that you've worked for or worked with, even. That could still be bad. There could be times where people have ill intent towards you or towards other people you may know. It's not worth, for me, it's not worth sharing my contact list on LinkedIn, only because I have met a lot of people, and it's not something that I find has value to it from the outside looking in. My contact list is important to me. It shouldn't be important to other people. Some of the other things pertaining to the question that was asked, you should have no extra time. You're talking about getting started in the industry. You're talking about how to get recognition for jobs and have people looking for you for jobs. You should have no quote-unquote extra time. Your time when starting out should be in bettering yourself, learning everything you can about what it is you want to work on, or what it is you want to do, or what fields or discipline you want to go into. There's so much free stuff out there. You need to be learning 24/7 until you get to the point where you are at the job of your dreams, or you're at the position that you feel this is what you've been working towards. You don't really have any extra time, because the longer you wait on executing on your ideas and making it where you want to be, someone else is already going to be there waiting and willing to fill that position, and you're going to miss your opportunity. So the best way to get people's eyes on your work, and the best way to get visibility for yourself, and that recognition you're talking about, create something that has to do with what you are looking for. Let's just say, I don't know how many people have families, but let's just say Tumbleleaf, amazing show. It's a stop motion, beautifully done by a rather small team that is portrays themselves to be a family when you watch the behind the scenes. Now imagine you want to get into stop motion, and you can apply this to anything, woodworking, whatever you want it to be. But this is the example I'm giving. If you wanted to get into stop motion and you really like that show and the quality of that show, you should be working on stop motion at home. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. You can learn about the process online. You can learn about how to do your sculpts, how to make all your face shapes, how to, what kind of camera should you use. There may be a small investment on your end to get the equipment you need and the supplies you need, but you want to start working on stuff, and you want to start sharing those things. So you want to work on animation that's stop motion. Plan out what you want to do, send it out, get it online. Try to get feedback from people. Try to be a part of groups that do this anyway. There are resources online where you can find like-minded people that already do this and are willing to share tips and secrets and what have you. Get that out there. So when the time comes, if you want to apply to the people that make Tumbleleaf, you'll be able to look at it and go, I prepared myself for this. And what they'll do is, okay, great, you got your resume. Maybe you watched the other video that I put up about, how to get your resume going. How cool would it be to send something you've created as stop motion as your resume, firstly? And secondly, they're going to look back to see what have you worked on. Maybe you don't have a lot of experience. Maybe it's been hard to find a job in stop motion, but you have dedicated all of your extra time into stop motion, where no one would be the wiser if you were like professionally doing this or not. And that's kind of where you want to be with it. Things have changed so much. Now, if you're doing stuff that looks like Gumby, I mean, when you go back and look at Gumby was amazing when you were a kid. But now you're like, what is going on in this show? Like, nothing makes sense anymore. Which is hilarious, because I actually tried watching an episode, which is like, some of them are not even a minute long, and it's no story, no nothing. So things have changed a lot If you're going as abstract as Gumby, maybe that new age look will come back around at some point. But you really want to keep your eye on the prize when it comes to uh, what's happening at Tumbleleaf. What are their practices? What are some of the things they do? These are things you can incorporate within your work at home if you are unable to find a job that can propel you closer towards getting at that studio if that's where you choose to be. Obviously, if you're working in the field, you'll be able to learn a lot of things firsthand. You'll be able to go through like whatever pipeline process is developed for whatever show or stop motion event or program or whatever you're working on. You'll be able to see how they actually run things, what the pipeline is like, what are some of the other disciplines that do what within the creation of the content. You may find, oh man, this isn't what I want to do. I want to do this part of it, So really use your time wisely before getting to that position. You always hear about people who get in at what you would think would be a dream job or what you would think would be like that career-ending job, where it's like you could be there for 15 or 20 years. That's what I mean by career-ending. And then your next step would be like to either start your own studio or just, stay with them and see how far it goes. But if you work on stuff at home, that will be what they will look towards. And if you're able to apply to a place and get that and still work at home, remember your goal is to get to Studio X. And until you get there, you should be working towards getting there. I know there's going to be a lot of sacrifices, a lot of family sacrifices, but you're looking at where you want to be in your career. You're looking at once you get to this place, you can then start to, for a lack of better words, relax a little bit. Your day-to-day is going to be where your growth is going to come in now because you're at the studio that you have been working so hard to get to, as opposed to, staying up super late at night and doing everything you can to become successful. Everything changes once you become successful. It's more about keeping and maintaining it and continuing to grow. So it's not about, when I say relax, it's not about you not keeping that drive and that passion. It's about a gear. You're going to go to a different gear, shifting to another gear. And in this gear, you have to make sure that you're always aware of best practices. You need to make sure quality, quantity, all those things can elevate. They're elevating day by day, month by month with you. You're becoming more efficient. You're becoming someone that people can depend on more, and so on. But yeah, you should have no extra time until you get to where you want to go. Now, the other side of that is, growing up, I had Game Informer, Game Pro magazines and stuff like that, and I remember seeing a lot of big studios in there. And within my 20 years of being in this industry, I can look back on there and go like, man, I remember when I used to be like, I didn't even know I wanted to even do games until, senior year in school. So it wasn't like I was a kid being like, I always want to do this. Like, I just loved playing video games. That's all I did. And so, from that, looking back at these studios and going like, man, I remember being like, I wonder what it'd be like to work here. I wonder what it'd be like to work there. I wonder what this would be like. And I've had the opportunity to work at a lot of places that are big places, small places, startup places. What I meant when I was saying the other side of it is you could be working towards getting to these places, and when you get there, you go, oh, goodness. This is not what I thought it was. So that's where research comes in. From one of the other videos I've talked about, you need to research places. I would hate for anyone to have a goal and a dream and drive to get to some place only to find out when they get there, they're like, oh my God, I spent every waking moment trying to get here, and this is not what I thought it was. The benefit of that is that you would have, mastered something where you can go where you want to go. You can make these choices. But you don't want to be heartbroken on getting to a place and, maybe the culture, it doesn't fit, right? And you're like, whoa, like, wow, people, like there's a bunch of egos or what have you. It becomes a little disheartening. But what you'll have in your case, because you've used your time wisely, you still have a skill that will be highly sought after. So even though you may not be at the place that you thought would be a dream place, that doesn't mean you will not be successful. You can still maintain success and still find joy and happiness. Rolling into joy and happiness, you want to make sure that when you network and these opportunities come your way, you want to make sure that you are getting joy. And I'm speaking out of experience. Like, I've gone through the phases which you'll go through, which is like, you want to take a job because the money's right, or you want to take a job because you're going to be working with certain individuals, or you think this would be good because it'll elevate you for your career and the next place you go to. So you want to go to this place now because you're going to learn X, Y, and Z. All of those are great reasons they simply are great reasons to do and make choices and where you want to go. But throughout my time now, it has become apparently clear to me that those things at a point will not matter. They simply will not matter. It's about joy and happiness. Like, whether it's joy of the people you're working with, happiness about the project, joy in making sure you can execute on what it is you need to so that you can feel fulfilled for the day, and making sure that there's opportunities for you to expand on what will fulfill you for the day. My current work ethic now is, if my joy meter isn't filled at the end of the day, my day's not over. It means I still have work to do. And it's a benefit for the studio, pretty much, because one, I'll end up getting more work done, but there's a level of joy that I get out of helping people fulfill their ideas, and actually learning and executing on things that I'm excited about working on for myself. So my extra time goes into that, and that's what I mean by when you switch gears of being successful and you've already have reached a certain point. There's different things you need to do to maintain it. There's different things you need to learn. You need to always be learning and ready for what's next. So I guess in sharing that, I think it would be highly beneficial if you can adapt that early on and let that be your guiding force for your career and making choices within your career. I think you'll have a better grasp of longevity. I've been able to adapt and learn a lot in this industry from being in it so long. I've seen a lot of people come and go. I've seen a lot of people start at the same time and fall off the face of the earth as far as his career, and they go into something else. Being able to adapt is huge. So it's one of those things that will benefit you in the long run and help you be where you want to be. And once that joy and happiness is fulfilled, it's different. It's different. You're not chasing these material things anymore, and you're not looking for material things to make up for what is missing. So, I mean, the beautiful part about it is that if you're able to find joy and happiness in a place, like, I'm talking about real joy and happiness. I'm not talking about a big name studio where you're like, you just, I'm about to tell you this about some people I know. You don't want to just be like, oh yeah, I work at place X, company X, and you still can't pay your bills, you're still not happy, and you're bragging about where you work, and everybody, a lot of people know that it's not real. You don't have joy. You're happy that you can brag about where you work, but a lot of people are still struggling even though they're there. And then it's even harder once you're there because everybody's trying to shoot for the same positions and shoot for, that's not happiness. That's not joy. That's stress, man. That's stress. So look for joy and happiness in your career and what you want to do and to work towards. And I think you'll find a lot of what you're looking for earlier, which means later on you can just, make choices based off of growth and off of where you want to be, because this is how you feel now or what you want to work towards now, as opposed to having such a high level goal or a high level company, and then getting there and being like, oh my God, this is not, you would never, I would say you would never want to regret what you did to get there from all your learning and all your time spent, because again, people are going to be looking for you at that point, especially after going to that place, being there for a little bit, and then leaving. If that's what you choose to do, you most likely won't have any problems finding a new path to go down. Other things you can do to network would be to go outside of your comfort zone and look for people that are literally like-minded, that could be in a different discipline, different company, different field altogether. A lot of times what you'll find is this will help you with your growth. I know going into management from working solely as just like a service provider of sorts within a studio, business side is a lot different. It is a lot different. It opened my eyes a lot. It's one thing to hear and know about certain decisions that are made on the business level, but then to be a part of those decisions and actually influence and or be directly in the thick of things, it's a whole different beast. And, a lot of times when I say making choices to be at a place, at certain places I've learned a ton of stuff that I wouldn't have learned anywhere else. And so like when it comes down to like, oh, why did you stay here so long? Or why did you do this? Or why did you do that? Because I was learning a ton of stuff, like stuff that people would pay to go to school for type learning, and traveling and so on. And it's just like amazing. Like the things that you start to know and understand from a different perspective that pertains to your day-to-day life. And that's stuff that you can take with you everywhere you go for future positions and everything. So when it comes to building your network, you really want to make sure that each person that you include complements your goals and or helps you maintain your positive outlook on where you want to be. I mean, I just had a conversation with someone last night from Japan, and they just sent me a message like, hey, I've seen your stuff, I like your stuff, we could be good friends. And I was just like, okay, well, hello, welcome to LinkedIn. How's it going? Because I normally greet people like that when I first connect with them on LinkedIn. I think it's hilarious, but it's a good lighthearted way to like just start a conversation virtually. And so we talked for like maybe an hour, and they shared some of their work with me, and I watched it. I thought about just being like, oh, I'll watch it later. Thanks for sharing it. But I was up late anyway, and I was just like, let me just click on it. And I was like, whoa, this is something I'm into. This is awesome. And so we talked about process, and we talked about their work and teams and how things are over in Japan and stuff like that. And they were asking me questions about what I do, and they were more of a 2D side, and I'm 3D. So we kind of shared a little bit of how we go about our pipelines and how we work and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. Without sharing all the details or anything that's like NDA, obviously, but I just wanted to say that. But it was really cool. And so, boom, I just made a connection with someone through LinkedIn that you normally wouldn't have an opportunity to. And that is why I use LinkedIn exclusively. Like there's like really no bounds of who you can connect with. I mean, when you talk about networking locally, it is good and beneficial. Like if a lot of people plant seeds where they are, and they're like, oh, it's hard to move from where I'm at. I got a house, or I got this. So they network locally, and that's when you have like these social gatherings that people have almost every week within this industry. Go to those, hang out with people, get to know people. I believe in another video I mentioned that people will befriend people to do that. But if you're really just getting to network and just getting to know people, and you're not really doing it with the intent on being like, oh, I want to work here with, you got this underlying intent, do that. It is great. If you have the time to do that, it is a great way to meet people and a great way to learn about other studios, learn about what's going on, like, how their cultures are. It can give you ideas of what you can bring to the table to your studio, or things you might like, or things you've heard about. Culture is all the rave right now at studios. Um, but yeah, that's the other. Some of the other things I want to talk about is getting recommendations. So I like to go about getting recommendations on LinkedIn. Again, this is all about networking. I like to get recommendations when I have literally worked with a person on something that is not super simple, but it's something that we had to depend on each other to be successful. And then when the success happens, boom. Hey man, you want to recommend me for blah blah blah? You can. I think that's the best time to do it. A lot of people wait until they leave a studio and they'll blast like 20 people. Can you all recommend me for something? Da, 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 da. That's a little too late. I mean, especially if you quit or something, like people aren't going to want to. A lot of people don't want to recommend after that, because depending on how you exited a studio, they're going to be like, no, man, you put us in a horrible position. What am I going to recommend you for? This is not cool. Without having any ill intent. It's just that's how they feel in the moment. So I think it's good to ask for recommendations while you're still at a place, or while you're still working on something with someone. Those are the best times to do it. It's going to be fresh, especially if someone's already giving you verbal compliments at the office. Put that ping in for a recommendation on your LinkedIn page. It'll be perfect. It's the perfect time while it's still fresh. I've done this firsthand from experience, and I've noticed that if you wait too long, is likely you will not get a recommendation. And it's just because people aren't looking for it. A lot of people don't log in all the time. They don't check for it. You have to like really go out of your way to like, hey, I sent you something. Can you read your email and give me a recommendation, please? You also want to be mindful of the people who are going to be like, oh, you're looking to leave. That's some of the things you're met with from certain individuals at a studio. They will definitely ping you in that way and try to prod you to see what's really going on when you're just trying to build out your network. So simple as that. But yeah, getting recommendations is highly important. People do look at that. People look at LinkedIn now as a means of references and getting a person who will best fit for the company and for the job that they've posted. So if you have your recommendations on point, there's not much else you need to do as far as making sure that the recommendations are of value. We're not talking about being like, oh, this person was fun to work with. I would work with them again. That's not really the best recommendation. A lot of times, that's why I'm saying, depending on what has transpired before you ask for the recommendation, people will talk about project stuff. They will go, this person really pulled through as a team player. They're able to guide and direct us and blah, blah, blah. And then they did this and it totally changed our outlook on success. Like, those are recommendations you want. That's when people are going to go like, whoa, and there's like 40 of these. This is amazing. Like, this guy's the guy, so, but that's all on you. You have to be proactive in doing that. For recommendation, people rarely send out recommendations without being asked, so you have to keep on top of that. I know there's other ways that you can network online, but like I said, I only use LinkedIn exclusively. LinkedIn, for me, has been one of the premier providers of business-oriented type content, which I like a lot. People still get a hard time for posting things on LinkedIn that would be deemed better for Facebook. And so I like that, people keep this more work oriented. So, but yeah, I hope you learned something new. I hope, we've been able to touch on getting started, networking, and how to maintain a positive network where you can start getting the recognition for jobs that you want. But yeah, give some of these things we talked about a try. And I think you'll be successful in what you're looking to do. I hope you learned something new. Thank you very much.